In the story of global politics, some conflicts arrive loudly, with tanks rolling and armies mobilizing. Others unfold quietly in boardrooms and oil markets through tariffs and sanctions. The crisis between India and the United States falls into that second category. There are no battlefields here, no missiles being launched, but there is tension, real, sharp, and growing. It is the kind of tension that doesn't always make headlines, but has the power to reshape alliances, reorder economies, and test the trust between two of the world's greatest democracies. And so we ask in this standoff over oil, tariffs, and power, who will blink first? Let's start with the basics. For 2 decades, India and the United States have been drawing closer. Defense agreements, technology partnerships, student exchanges, joint military exercises. Both countries have spoken of shared values, democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, as the foundation of their friendship. In Washington, India was seen as a critical partner in the Indo-Pacific, a counterweight to China's ambitions. In New Delhi, the United States was viewed as a source of investment, technology, and political support. The relationship on paper looked like a perfect fit. But real relationships, whether between people or nations, are tested not when times are easy, but when interests collide. And that's exactly what's happening now. At the center of this crisis is oil. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the United States led its allies in slapping sweeping sanctions on Moscow. The goal was simple: cut off Russia's oil revenue, weaken its ability to wage war, and send a message that aggression carries a cost. Washington expected friends and partners, including India, to stand behind this strategy. But India chose a different path. Faced with an economy of 1.4 billion people, rising energy demand, and inflation threatening household budgets, New Delhi began buying Russian oil at a steep discount. Billions of dollars saved, energy security ensured. For ordinary Indians, it meant affordable fuel. For the government, it meant stability during turbulent times. For Washington, though, this was a problem. Every tanker of Russian oil sailing to India undercut the sanctions regime. Every dollar Moscow earned from those sales kept its war machine alive. American officials pressed India to scale back, but New Delhi responded with a clear message: India will act in its own interest. Sovereignty comes first. Now add to that a second layer: tariffs. Over the past few years, U.S. administrations have leaned on tariffs as a tool of economic leverage. Duties on Indian steel, aluminum, and other goods have strained trade ties. India has responded in kind, raising tariffs on American products. What was once a rapidly expanding trade relationship now feels bogged down in disputes. Instead of celebrating economic synergy, both sides are trading barbs. So what we see is a crisis born not of ideology, not of values, but of interests. America wants solidarity in isolating Russia and protecting its industries. India wants affordable energy and fair treatment in trade. Both sides believe they are right, and the truth is, both sides have a point. From Washington's perspective, the stakes are enormous. If sanctions against Russia are undermined, then the message to the world is clear: Western power has limits. If India, a country the U.S. calls a strategic partner, continues business with Moscow, then America's credibility is weakened. Add to that the fact that U.S. workers demand protection from foreign competition, and you understand why tariffs remain politically popular. For American leaders, standing firm feels necessary. From New Delhi's perspective, the view is just as compelling. India's history is one of strategic autonomy, refusing to be tied to any one bloc. It remembers the Cold War, when Washington tilted toward Pakistan. It remembers technology sanctions after nuclear tests, and it knows that in a multipolar world, flexibility is power. Buying Russian oil is not about supporting Moscow, it's about keeping India's economy running. Retaliating against U.S. tariffs is not hostility, it's self-respect. For Indian leaders, bending to outside pressure would be seen at home as weakness. So here we are, both sides dug in, both sides unwilling to move first, and that raises the question: who will blink? There are 3 possible futures. The first is escalation. If Washington decides to enforce sanctions more aggressively, perhaps even targeting nations that buy Russian oil, India could find itself in the crosshairs. That would trigger retaliation, deepen mistrust, and risk pushing India closer to Moscow, or even Beijing in certain forums. Tariff wars could escalate, hurting industries and consumers on both sides. The partnership would fray, and China would be the biggest beneficiary. The second is compromise. Diplomats behind closed doors could craft deals that ease tensions. The US might reduce tariffs, expand technology transfers, or increase clean energy cooperation. India might gradually diversify away from Russian oil, showing goodwill without giving up sovereignty. Each side would get part of what it wants. This would require patience, creativity, and leadership willing to rise above short-term politics. It wouldn't make headlines, but it would preserve the partnership. The third future is stagnation. Neither escalation nor compromise, just a slow cooling. Summits continue, warm words are exchanged, but trust erodes bit by bit. The relationship becomes transactional, driven by necessity rather than vision. Cooperation survives, but ambition fades. And while that may not sound dramatic, it's dangerous in its own way. Because in a world facing climate change, technological disruption, and great power competition, half-hearted partnerships are not